Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Sgt Trapp again. I apologize for having to wear my mask. I have a lot of at risk people in my home right now. My wife being pregnant. I got some grandparents staying with me, and there's just not enough space in the house for us to have any separation. My rooms are full, and so I wear a mask all day, all night. Been doing this for about a week now, a week and a half, and I'll probably do it for another week or so. Moving on to my presentation. Let me pull up my question. All right, so my question was, basically I don't even have to load it. So my question was, what is the best way to quantitatively measure, um, actually measure the development of a leader, and how can we actually take and decide whether or not you've been successful in mentoring, coaching, leading? Like, how do we measure that development? Like, actually measure it, not just kind of however we feel we've been doing, right? So I came across an article, um, came across a collection of articles, my apologies, collection of articles on a website called Training Mag. Training Mag is a magazine focused on training. They do a lot of work in the industry. They're one of the industry standards as far as it goes with leadership development, HR, programs like that. So they're both in the corporate world. They're mostly in the corporate world. Um, from this collection, see if I can pull it up. From this collection, I found a couple things, right? So from this collection, the first thing that was mentioned was basically successfully measuring quantitatively, or figuring out how to measure how effective a leader is and how well the development, the coaching, the counseling, all that stuff is. You have to define success. You have to define what's going to be, the like actual objectives, the task. You have to define what constitutes success in your organization. It makes perfect sense when you think about it. I never thought about it like that. Success is going to be different for everyone. It's going to be different for each organization. Success at a dog washing park might be washing the most dogs in the shortest amount of time, bringing the most customers into a restaurant or to a store, right? In the Marine Corps, I believe that success is measured. The success is measured in the Marine Corps, I believe, by how many Marines stay in, how many people reenlist, how many Marines they can retain. Promotion, obviously, because if you're getting promoted, that means that theoretically you will be, or you should be, on par or over the rest of your peers, because you're getting promoted to the next level, to the next grade, getting more responsibility. And then also, I think technical proficiency is a big part of your success as a Marine, and the Marine Corps success, period. And in any organization, if you can't do your job, then like what good are you, right? So the common theme that I had here was just that the success of a leader is measured against what he or she or the organization defines as success in their organization. There was a quote by a lady named Brianna White. She's a project manager at a company, and she said that effective leadership development means empowering our leaders by providing them with the tools they need to lead their group in a direction that meets overall objectives of the company. I take that quite literally, and I say, okay, so in the Marine Corps, we're all leaders, right? We're all trained to lead, like we're all trained to fight. And in any organization you are, that small unit leadership, the manager can't be everywhere. He doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. And so like you depend on your leaders at the lower level to get things done so that you can do more at the higher level, the grand scheme of things, to make sure that the entire organization or the company is successful. And so I take what she says and I apply it to my life. I apply it to the Marine Corps. And so I measure my success. How I define success is how many of the Marines in my platoon would reenlist. How many, when I go to drill, are talking about what they're going to do with their reenlistment, what course they're going to go to next, or how many are actively engaged in staying in the Marine Corps and not thinking or not looking towards getting out as like a weight off their shoulders, right? Next, going to promotion. How many of my Marines are on the meritorious boards? How many of my Marines in my platoon are getting promoted, at the right time, kind of on par with the rest of their peers, or how many are lagging? How many are, a year or two past the group that they should have been with? How many are getting NJP'd and losing rank? Like things like that. And then lastly, just the technical proficiency. How many of my Marines in my platoon can go to a field op, can go on an AT, can go anywhere without myself or any of the more experienced corporals or sergeants and actually perform? How many Marines can I trust to get a job done? How many Marines can I just give a task and they just do it because they know how to do it? They don't need someone standing over their shoulder, that technical proficiency. Right? And that's the first thing. So I've measured my success: retention, promotion, and technical proficiency. Next, the collection of, because it was a collection of articles. It was a site that had a collection of articles from a couple different authors, and so I just figured it'd be easier just to quote the whole article the whole collection, because I did use the entire collection. Next, it mentioned prompt reflection and self-assessment. We do this constantly. I never even thought about how much we do it until going through this course now, because I'm writing journal entries at the end of every lesson. Prompt reflection. That journal entry is timed. Like, I can't just think about it forever. Like, I have to give an answer. I'm held accountable not only by Tim and the course instructors. I'm held accountable to myself, because I have a certain time to reflect on my actions and what I've been able to do. Same goes in your company, or same goes in life. Whenever you're going through a quarter, or whenever you're going through a year of work in the Marine Corps, or work at your office, you're constantly getting prepared for your performance evaluation. There's always a time where, like, you're going to have to reflect and give people reasons why you believe that you've been doing a good job, and kind of convince them that, or show them by like actual measures that you've been doing what you're supposed to, you've been developing yourself, and that you are the leader that, like, you say you are. Right? And so that prompt reflection and self-assessment, it's so vital to always be reflecting, looking inside, what am I doing internally, and to actually grade yourself against, like, what you say is defined as success. If I'm saying that retention is success to me, and I'm not looking at how many Marines of mine are getting out versus wanting to stay in, then I'm not assessing myself based off my own criteria, and that's wrong. If I'm not looking at how many of my Marines are getting promoted, but I'm saying that's what's important, because the Marine Corps needs people to get promoted. They do. In my company, we need people to get promoted. Like, I can't stay in my position forever because, like, I'm going to move on. I want to do bigger, better things. I need to do bigger, better things, because as I learn more, I'm more valuable to the company at a higher level where I can affect more people. So if I don't do my job and get someone ready to take my spot, or someone groomed to take over where I'm leaving off, then I can't leave where I'm at, and that just halts progress for everyone. And so that self-assessment, just off your own criteria, what you define as success, looking internally and saying, what am I doing or am I doing what I said was, success? Am I doing what I said was a deliverable? Am I delivering on the tasks and objectives that are laid out for me and my organization? Lastly, I had the collection mentioned measuring the trajectory of a leader's career. Again, going back to not sitting in the same position. If I've been a corporal for 4 years, 5 years, I should know everything. I should be technically proficient. I should be able to lead Marines. I've got the experience. Like, I've been there. I should be comfortable in my space. But if I'm not looking to go anywhere, if I don't have any trajectory, and I'm not leaving that kind of like senior corporal position, or senior lance corporal, because everyone knows what a senior lance corporal is. Like, you got those people, terminal lance, perfect example. Their trajectory is dead. There's no trajectory. They're not an effective leader. They may be an amazing, technical resource. They might be a SME. They might be so many things, but they are not an effective leader, and their development has been stopped. They're stagnant. I will not, off of my criteria and what I define as success and how I would measure the success of a leader in mentoring, coaching, and developing, I would not say that a guy that gets out terminal lance or a senior lance corporal is succeeding in is succeeding in that. I don't think that they're doing the best they can. They're doing a disservice for the Marines under them because they're setting a terrible example for one. They're setting an example that it's okay, not to strive to be better, not to, they're not buying into the system, which itself is toxic to the organization. And so, so that trajectory. If I'm always looking to go to the next level because I need to be able to affect the most people, then I'm going to raise people to take my spot. And the organization is going to be better for that. When I was a Lance Corporal, I was acting as a corporal, trying to, fill those shoes so that when I got there were Lance Corporals that I had worked with that may have been, my peers or maybe been a little junior to me, but they could step into that role and kind of take over where I left off and be like that go-to Lance Corporal to get things done, to drive the bus. And I didn't have to worry about it. Now I'm a corporal. I have 2 or 3 Lance Corporals. They're all driving the bus in their respective squads, preparing themselves to lead Marines at the next level. So then I'm able to get promoted to sergeant. 1 or 2 of them get promoted to corporal. And now instead of just looking at a couple Lance Corporals, now I have 3 or 4 or maybe 5 corporals that are now in charge of collectively 30, 40 Marines. And so consequently, now my responsibility has shifted to where I'm more so focused on 30 to 40 or 50 Marines, but I'm doing my my leadership, my leadership and what I'm doing is translated through the leaders under me. My trajectory is going up. I'm going to keep affecting more people as a platoon sergeant, and then eventually as a chief, and then eventually as maybe a company gunny, and then, company first sergeant. And I'm just on keep going up, because if you're not going up, then you're not going anywhere. And that's just not success. So basically, in conclusion, through my research, I believe I have the answer to my question. The answer to my question, which was originally, how can you measure, or what is the best way to measure, the development of a leader, and just how can we make sure that we're succeeding in leading, developing, mentoring, coaching, all that stuff that we say leaders do, right? First, we have to set what we think success is, or what we think success is for our organization. First, we have to define the parameters by which, that we will grade ourselves and grade our group of Marines on how well we're doing, right? So we set retention, or in my case, I set retention, promotion, and technical proficiency. So it might take a while, but what I can do, or what I will do, is I'll go back and I'll look. Maybe I won't go back too far, but I'll look now at my platoon. I'll look at how many people or how many Marines that when I go to drill, or I'll text them, or I'll reach out to them. I'll reach out to, and I'll see how many people are excited about getting promoted, re-enlisting, or doing something in the Marine Corps, and how many are just done with it, drop pack, and just their minds made up. Because their minds made up, then I feel like I failed them as a leader. I feel like the leaders under me failed them as a leader, because 90% of Marines that get out are not bad Marines. A lot of the Marines that get out because of poor leadership. And I think that point there proves, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people back me up. People always say the good ones get out and the bad ones stay in, which I don't think is completely true. But for the most part, a lot of bad ones do stay in and buy into the system. And so they get into positions of leadership, when a lot of good ones get out because of poor leadership. And so just to bring that around full circle, it's like retention is huge. If you have good leadership, if you have a good example, if your leadership's actively engaged, all the things that we talk about, respect, communication, all that stuff, then the chances of you wanting to stay in are going to be through the roof. You joined the Marine Corps because you wanted to. You didn't join the Marine Corps to say, I hate it, it sucks, and just get out, right? Then moving on to promotion. If I don't have Marines actively wanting to get promoted, people should be fighting to get promoted. It should be a race. It should be like the Amazing Race. I don't know if anyone else remembers that show, but it should be like the Amazing Race. Everyone's competing to be the best of the best, because that breeds the best. Competition breeds the best. Capitalism, all that stuff, everything's based off of basically allowing everyone to write their own ticket, to develop themselves. Iron sharpens iron. And so if we don't have Marines actively trying to get promoted, if people are just fine with being where they're at, if no one is getting promoted, then we're failing somewhere as leaders. And we can't do that, because we're going to have to move on. Like Bill was saying in his video, I've already watched it, and he was saying we're training the next generation, because there will come a time when we have to go. We can't stay where we are forever. We're in this course because we're not trying to be sergeants forever. And so if we're not leading Marines to get promoted to be effective sergeants, then we're not effective staff sergeants, whether we get it or not. And that's my point. So then moving on to the trajectory. If we're not striving to be sergeant majors or master gunnery sergeants, or even if we want to switch and go like chief warrant officer, or we want to go be just regular commissioned officers, if we're not striving to be the next level in the chain, then we have no trajectory. Without trajectory, then we're dead. Like we're not effective. It's not, you can't be an effective leader if you're staying in your comfort zone, because then people either pass you. And I mean, it's not necessarily a problem when your subordinates pass you, but the problem comes when you don't have any drive to go any further, but everyone else does. So then, like, you make it seem comfortable, you make it seem cool to stay exactly where you are when that's not the case. It's not the case by any means. And so I guess my position is just that, well, my position is I've defined my terms of success. That's the first step. You have to define what you think success is before you even try to quantitate or put into a quantitative measure what your development is, or how well you've developed yourself as a leader. So I'll define my success. I have to hold myself accountable. That's what the reflection and self-assessment is. I hold myself accountable. And then obviously, I mean, you can like reach out to other people so you get feedback, which we do on just about every course that we go through. You know, there's always like some questions, comments, concerns, and you kind of do some ratings here and there. Like when you're going through like tech support, stuff like that, they always ask for like how we did. This is that. Leaders, officers and stuff, they get like the command climate surveys and stuff like that. And so that self-assessment goes along with assessment from others, right? And then just lastly, that trajectory. If like if you see a Marine, and like I'm like, I know gunnies and stuff do this all the time. Senior leaders, they look and they're like, okay, yeah, like that he's gonna kill it. He's gonna be a rock star. She's gonna be this. She's gonna be the company gunny one day. Well, she's gonna be a sergeant major. He's gonna do that. And like that trajectory is just another way to measure, hey, like this person is succeeding and leading, because they can see the development before it's actually happened. They can see where you're going before you actually get there. Because like we've always been taught, you always act like the rank you want to be, right? And so like if you're not acting like you want to be the next rank, then you're failing as a leader, because then you're not even working towards being a leader. You're just staying in the same place. But thank you guys for listening. That was my report. And